and welcome. My name is Heroin Bob and welcome to Bob Buys, where this video I'm going to show you guys how to restore, clean, and season cast iron pans and pots that you find maybe at the flea market or at the thrift store for resale or for your own personal use. So these are a few supplies that you're going to need. A sink, an oven, a steel wool scrubby, some sea salt, a potato that maybe didn't make it to dinner in time, and some olive oil. I like to use the spray kind because it's easier, or you can use any regular virgin olive oil and a basting brush. Olive oil, basting brush. You can use this. This is just a little bit messier and also takes quite a bit longer, but this also works. On the table here, I have 5 cast iron pans that I all found at the same thrift store for $35 is what I paid for all of this. If I sell one of these Martha Whites, it'll pay for everything plus profit. So you can see here we have 2 of the exact same Martha White pan. One I have already cleaned, or I should say I've already restored and cleaned, I just haven't seasoned it yet. And we have 2 Pioneer Woman pans, one I have already cleaned and restored and one that I have not. So I'm going to show you guys how to get this to look like this so you can season it, and how to get this to look like this so I can season it. And then this one here is just a very cheap Walmart brand. By the way, if you ever see this cast iron brand, unless you're picking it up for yourself, I would not pick it up for resale, but if you're picking up for yourself, it is perfectly fine. You can see that this one I have also restored and cleaned, I just have not seasoned it yet. I would also like to mention, you see this Walmart branded cast iron. You can see here, where you can see the gray raw metal. That just means that the pre-seasoning has rubbed off. Most cast iron pans, modern cast iron pans, come pre-seasoned, which is why they have this lovely blackness to them. That is actually the pre-seasoning. So all this means is that the pre-seasoning has worn off. It hasn't been cared for or seasoned properly. And that's how come you can now, once I've restored it, because I had to take it down because this was rusty, I had to take it down to the original cast iron so that way I can clean it and then re-season it properly. So that is why this is gray and not black like most people are used to seeing cast iron, and why these are black is because these still have some of the pre-seasoning left on them. If you look inside here, you can see where some of the cast iron is shining through where it had rusted and I had to clean it, which is what this pitting is here, is where I've cleaned the rust out. Okay, you guys can see that I have moved the Pioneer Woman pan into the sink to restore it. This is the only time you will ever have a steel wool scrubby anywhere near your cast iron. You do not use a steel wool scrubby to clean your cast iron. You only use it to restore your cast iron. So if you have a cast iron pan or pot that doesn't have any rust on it, this does not need to be anywhere near it. Do not use this. I will repeat, do not use steel wool scrubbies unless your cast iron has rust on it. So I'm going to run just a little bit of water on here, and then I am going to scrub like the dickens. So now that I've got the majority of the rust off, yes, it is still a little crunchy, but some people like the patina. Look how lovely my hand is. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean this. So this would be how you would clean it if you were going to use to cook on it. This should be the only way you clean it after you do the restoring process, because the base rules for cast iron were if you can't eat it, it shouldn't go in the pan or on the pan. So to clean these pans, I have cut the potato that didn't make it to dinner in half. The potatoes have enough moisture, because actually you shouldn't really get the cast iron wet. That's part of why these got rusted, is that they sat in water for too long. So these have enough moisture content in them to
spread the salt around. This is why you need the salt. This is going to be the abrasive. Again, if it's not something that you can eat, it shouldn't go in the pan. You're just gonna pour some salt in here, and then you're gonna take the potato and scrub. Now, if you've been using this to cook with, what this is gonna do is get all like the built up food bits that have been in here out. But what it's doing right now is, because I tried to remove the rust, it's actually just getting all the remainders of the rust out. And as you can see, without adding any extra water, again, the potato is moist enough to be able to clean the majority out of the pan. You are going to have to rinse this with water, but this saves not having a lot of sitting water in your pan while you're cleaning, which could help contribute to rust. So I'm going to do this one, and then we will get to seasoning. Okay, so the best thing about using potatoes to clean, again, you're not supposed to put anything in the cast iron that you cannot eat, is that when you're done, just throw it in the compost. Now, you can also use oranges, lemons, or limes. Another reason why to use potatoes is to help it helps cut through the grease, because they are, in addition to having a good moisture content, they also are acidic. Lemons, limes, and oranges have a higher acidity level than potatoes, so that's why I use the potato, is because those pans didn't have a lot of buildup. So if it's a pan that you use to cook with a lot, and there's a nice thick layer of food leavenings in there, I would use a lemon, lime, or an orange in that instance. And I also use potatoes because I feel like more people have a slightly past date potato in their drawers versus a lemon, lime, or orange, unless you live somewhere tropical like Florida or California, where there's a lot of fruit trees. Well, now that these two have dried, you can see that I didn't get all of it. So if you're reselling, I would just say it has a lovely patina. It's a good keyword, but I did at least stop the rust. So now we're gonna season everything. So now I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And now I'm going to take the olive oil spray and spray not just the inside of the pans, but also the outside of the pans, because it's important to season and protect the entire pan and not just the side you're going to cook in. So now the oven is at 350. All 5 of the lovely pans are inside with that beautiful oil sheen, and they're going to bake in this oven for an hour. And then they are actually, I'm going to turn the oven off after an hour, and they are actually going to cool inside of the oven as the oven cools off. So it has been over an hour and the oven has cooled off. So I'm going to take things out and show you the results. Okay, so these are the 4 pans for resale. Sometimes there's going to be a little excess oil, so you just kind of like dab that out. And then if you look at the other side where all of the damage was, this is the one that was in really good shape. This is the one that had some issues. You can still see some discoloration. That is again because the pre-seasoning is gone. It is not because there's anything wrong with the pan. It just means the pre-seasoning that was put on with the manufacturers is gone, and this is seasoned, pristine, or I should virgin cast iron, which is why there's discoloration. It's the same thing here. With the Pioneer Woman, we have the one that still had a lot of the pre-seasoning, so this looks like it's brand new. And then you had the one that had a lot of rust. You see the discoloration here, but again, that is just because I had to take it down to the original cast iron and then re-season it. Because I took it down to the original cast iron, you can see that this is like much more black than here. But everything is now good and ready to cook with again.
I hope you guys liked this video and that you learned something. For those of you that maybe have a rusted cast iron pan at home that you've neglected and haven't used for a while, This is a video to help you restore it and breathe new life back into it so that way you can use it for generations to come. Also, for those of you in the reselling community, this is something that you can find at a flea market, estate sale, antique store, thrift store, and you can pick it up. Chances are it'll be cheap, especially given if it's in a rusted condition. You can restore it, clean it, and season it, and either use it for your own home or use it until it goes on to a new home by reselling. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day doing whatever it is you're doing. Bye! Bye.
Okay, so now that I've gotten the majority of the rust off.
Oh, you're recording.
Yes.
Hi!
If you hold it in there in the sun.
Wait, you're wasting potatoes?
I'm not wasting potatoes. You're gonna focus? Hello? What are you focusing on? Focus. Okay. I'm not focusing. Focus. This has absolutely nothing to do with cast iron, but look at the deer. You see the baby? I mean, I gotta do something for an hour anyway.